Joining us for a little bit is Mr. Scott Hughes, as we like to say, stellar, august political analyst. You said you just got back from Baton Rouge, where the stunningly, the special session sort of unraveled there.
It wasn't much of a session, and it wasn't very special, Robert.
What was the line? And I forget who said it. If they'd had more time, they could have done less.
I think that's appropriate.
Oh, boy. Scott, you and I have been talking about this, the millages that are on the ballot April 28th. And I want to ask you first, the mayor says it's a renewal. A lot of folks say it's not. Where do you fall on that argument?
Always a questionable deal. Normally, most cities, most municipalities like to call everything a renewal. And I think what they're trying to tell taxpayers is you're not going to pay any more than you paid last year. Mm-hmm. So if you take that approach, like in 17, we paid X amount of dollars, and 18, they're saying you'll pay the same amount of dollars. Mm-hmm. If that's your definition of renewal, it's a renewal. I think when you look at the facts of this case, these taxes have effectively rolled off the books. Mm-hmm. They expired 12/31/17.
But we'll still pay them when the sheriff sends us our notices that we pay in whenever it is coming up, right?
That's incorrect. They are not on the books. They expired 12/31/17.
So when he sends out the notices,
that's for 17. If you owe taxes for 17, then those would be in your 17 tax load.
But don't we pay those right now, right about this time of year?
Now you're getting into what tax year you're paying.
Gotcha.
And so if you're going to pay taxes for 18, which is where we are today, those taxes are not on the books right now. If you bought a house and your mortgage company was amortizing your loan, those taxes aren't on the books.
Is it, as Ms. McCarty has speculated, is it just, I mean, how does that happen? Is that poor planning? Is it just the way, how does something like that happen where X number of taxes that seem to be so important to the operation and funding of the city can in fact be off the books for as many as 120 days or more?
That I can't answer. That's a question for City Hall or bond attorneys. Mm-hmm. Traditionally, most municipalities or people who have a tax go for the renewal before the expiration.
Sure.
Mainly because if it fails, they want to give them a second or third chance. Mm-hmm. It's not unusual. It's been done before. Matter of fact, I think City of Shreveport 5 years ago let it roll off the books and came in 13. And so the question of going for the taxes is something they can do. They control the timing on that. Matter of fact, most elected bodies choose when to put it on the ballot for specific political reasons.
Mm-hmm. You've been doing some research, and you have a legal opinion with regard to this. Tell us what you've been working on and what you found.
Well, I'm actually familiar with this from my previous work with schools. This issue about renewal, what you can call a ballot, comes up a lot. The courts don't like to talk about this. The courts like to always defer political questions back to the voters. And the best case that I'm aware of in Louisiana, I found that it was concerns to business and property owners of DeSoto Inc. versus DeSoto Parish School Board. It's a 1998 opinion. The court basically said that it's a high bar to go into court and prove that you can't hold the tax renewal because of the term renewal. They typically say we'll let the voters determine what is a renewal and what is not. The voters can determine what they feel about the renewal. Now, there are certain rules about what a municipality can do. They can't tell you vote yes. They can put information out. The courts have ruled on that.
But when the city prints a document that like this with city paper on it and it says say yes and renew Shreveport, that's illegal.
That would be for a court to decide.
Okay.
I'll suggest courts have previously looked at that, and you're getting very much into the gray area when you start saying words like vote yes, say yes.
Mm-hmm. Willie Bradford, the city attorney, said they're going to take that off of any future pamphlets, etc.
Then that might be your answer
Will
right
the
there.
ballot say renewal? When
no,
we go
most ballots never say the word renewal. Most ballots say that this gives the city the right to encumber bonds to do this or to charge a millage to collect this. You never see the word renewal on a ballot.
But one of them will say new. Explain the one about the police 3 platoon system and why that one's going to say this is a new tax.
Well, Proposition 6 is clearly a new vote. We'll say that.
Okay.
It's actually a tax that we've paid all the way back to the 1921 Constitution. Back in the 1921 Louisiana Constitution, a new thing was around that we would have a 3-shift system for police officers, something today we take for granted, that they work 8-hour shifts. But back in the 1920s, that was new. And so to fund that third shift, we have what's called the Police 3 Platoon System tax. And it's been an inherent tax tax built through the Constitution for all these years, sort of like a base tax they could just charge. And there was the new Attorney General came in this last administration and pretty much ruled that's a tax that needs to be voted on by the people at this point. So it's no longer an inherent tax they can just collect. They have to come to the people to ask. So that's another one of those gray areas. You've been paying it for a long time,
right?
But this will be the first time it actually appears on the ballot that you can vote on it, and it's significant. It's actually 1.47 mils and collects about $2.2 million, and it's police funds.
You said something interesting earlier on. I'd like you to comment on. You said many times administrations that people in government will plan election dates for political reasons. And this is going to be these renewals, these new taxes, whatever hair you want to split in defining them. That election is going to be April 28th. Do you see any political reason, any purpose for having it on that date specifically?
I can't speak to the motive why the city officials chose that date. People traditionally choose that date because it's low turnout. If you're trying to get a tax passed, Tax 101 is avoid the fall, avoid the big ballot, which this fall will be a big ballot. This fall will have a mayor's race. It will have the city council races, some other local races. And so the quiet ballot, as we say, is the April ballot. Most folks won't be paying attention. If it's a police tax, a school board tax, a county tax, etc., you can generally put it on the ballot and then hope that your people go vote and the other side doesn't.